going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to do a little breakdown today for you guys on Smith Lake, kind of a pre-tournament breakdown and my preparation and everything that I'm doing to get ready for the second stop of the Pro Circuit season on Smith Lake here in Alabama. So first thing, I'm going to introduce Smith Lake for you guys. So it's a spotted bass fishery primarily. With that being said, there's a pretty good population of largemouth in there, and it's only located about an hour, depending on where you put in. You know, if you're launching at the dam, it's about an hour and a half. If you're launching at the Smith Lake Park, which is where the tournament's going out of, it's about an hour and 15 minutes from my house here. So super close, almost you could call it like a home body of water. With that being said, I've only spent probably a dozen, maybe 15, probably a dozen days in total on Smith Lake. So I've got some experience there, but I don't have a drastic amount of experience. I just have pretty minimal amount of experience on the body of water, but it's primarily a spotted bass lake. It's really, really like narrow in most of the lake, real long fingering kind of lake. It's got, if you look at it on a map, it's got some really, really long fingers that branch off. It's got different creeks and they go for miles and miles and miles. The takeoff in the Smith Lake Park is way in the back end of one of the arms, and so to get down to the dam you got to run all the way down that arm or that river, and then you pop down and then you can kind of shoot up another arm. So it's a really interesting lake to run. It all looks really fishy, and to be honest with you, it all holds bass. The one issue that I've found with Smith Lake in the past, and it relates a lot to Lake Shasta. If you're familiar with that on the West Coast, you guys have seen a video that I put out, a month or so ago from Lake Shasta. You can pretty much catch bass anywhere. You can pull up on anything that looks fishy and most likely get a bite. The biggest difference between like Shasta and Smith is that Smith is primarily a blueback herring lake. So these fish key in on the blueback herring. They follow them around. They kind of just meander around the lake and follow these herring around. And if you're not around the herring, you're typically not catching the larger class size of spotted bass. So the biggest challenge this upcoming week, or I guess it'll be about a week. We're about a week out till practice. And the biggest challenge is going to be finding those herring and staying on them and locating those larger class of spotted bass. With that being said, like I said, there's a pretty big population of largemouth in the lake as well. Those fish will be caught on more structural elements. So you can catch them on trees, you can catch them on rock piles, you can catch them on points, docks. There's a lot of docks in Smith Lake. There's all kinds of different structures. So going into the week, my mentality, my breakdown, my insight going into the tournament before I get out there, before I look at the water or anything, just based on where I'm at here in Alabama, kind of North Alabama around Guntersville, the water's been warming, the temperatures have been rising, and we're finally starting to see signs of spring. Whether or not that's going to maintain up until the tournament, we might get another front that rolls through, but as of right now, we've had a pretty good warming trend. So I think that water temperature is going to rise slowly, from about a week ago or 5 days ago until the tournament. We are getting a lot of rain, so that might color up some of these rivers, some of these creeks on Smith. That'll make these fish a little bit more apt to bite moving baits, I believe, spinner bait, possibly even a topwater bait, believe it or not. If the water gets colored up and the water warms, the surface temperature warms, these fish will push into the backs of these pockets. They'll push up onto the bank. They might eat a buzz bait. They might eat a walking bait like this Savage Gear prop walker here. This is a super cool bait. This is going to imitate a blueback herring perfectly. As you can see, it's got that like blue iridescent top and kind of a flaked bottom. That's a killer bait for around spotted bass. And the cool part about this bait is that you can walk it. It's got a cup mouth, so it spits really nice when it walks. But these little props on the back, you can actually just take your fingernail and pop them out. There's one on either side. I'm not going to get the other one. But that allows the tail to spin. So I can two in one. I can basically tie this bait on, and if I want to cover water, work down the bank, I can pop the little props out and throw it down the bank, cover water. And if I want to fish walking bait, like if they're schooling or something, or if I'm targeting a point or a tree, I can walk that thing over the top of it. So that's cool. I think a topwater could be good. Spinner bait if the water's dirty. Chatterbait, different crankbaits. I've got 3 different crankbaits tied on over here. What else? I got chatterbait, like I said, I got a couple different jigs. I got a black and blue, and I got a natural color one, you know, based on water clarity and stuff. Jerkbaits, I just installed that new Lowrance Active Target. I am stoked to get out there and utilize that on Smith, because these fish, like I said, they key in on these herring, and the herring typically move around a lot. And so with a traditional sonar, I mean, you might be able to scan over top of them and see them with your side scan or your sonar or down scan. But then you stand up and you might make a couple casts in there with your Kitech or your little swim bait or your jerk bait or whatever it is you're throwing. You might catch one, might catch two, and then all of a sudden the bait's gone and you're firing to the same spot, you're firing to your waypoint, and you're not getting bit. And then you know, 10 minutes later, you roll over and you're like, shoot, they're not there anymore. And then you scan, oh, there they are, and you stop and you make a cast, catch one. Well, your efficiency with the active target is going to go through the roof. You're going to be able to see those bait in front of the boat and know, hey, they're right where I just graphed over them. Fire in there, catch one. You're going to pull the school fish a little bit. The bait might scatter out to the right. And all of a sudden, you know, hey, I need to throw further to the right. And then you fire out further to the right. And you go, okay, they're getting closer to the boat. And you can fire closer to the boat. And you go, shoot, they're, you know, swimming away. The bait fish is moving out. And you're following these bait fish as they move in real time, rather than fishing like slight history, you know, graphing it and knowing, hey, they're right there, casting in there, catching them. But then they move and you don't know. You're just unaware. You're naive and thinking, hey, they stayed there. But these fish are in the water. They're moving around. So having that active target is going to be a huge player out there on Smith Lake. You're going to see it drastically change the way guys target these fish, especially the spotted bass. You know, you never know. This tournament, there could be spawning fish. There's a lot of different aspects of things that could be going on, especially this time of the year. You've got all kinds of different things happening. Water's warming. You've got those bait fish in play. But, you know, with all that said, I'm going to kind of explain how I'm going to fish this place. I'm going to go into it. I'm going to search shallow first, and then I'm going to work my way out. I'm going to look in the backs of pockets. I'm going to look where these fish should be going to. And if they're not there yet, then I'm going to slowly work my way out. I'm going to look in creeks. I'm going to look in, you know, the backs of pockets, like I said. I'm going to look at that secondary cover, or those secondary points leading into this stuff. And basically what I'm looking for is either bait fish or just fish in general posted up on structure. This time of the year, the fish will either be on that bait or they'll be on structure getting ready to move up to spawn. So, you know, running water for spotted bass, that's something we do a lot on Shasta. It works good on Smith too. You look for running water in the backs of these pockets. There's a lot of pockets, so there's a lot of different places to look. Just kind of got to put your head down and run around and look. Gonna burn a bunch of gas looking around. We've got 2 days to break it down. And so basically I got to get out there first light, spend my whole day efficiently looking. Going to do a lot of looking, not a lot of fishing probably for that first day, maybe half day. And then once I start to see a few things that I like, I might pick a few rods up, make a few casts, see how I can get bit, and then expand on that the next day. And basically just spend my whole practice expanding on what I've kind of found, and find little nuances and find little ways to get bit. You know, but as far as stuff that I've got tied on, you know, to start practice, I kind of explained to you guys, but a few more things, you know, I've got, let's see, I've got, you know, here's a line through swim bait. That it's actually a mullet swim bait that Savage Gear make the line through, but it looks a lot like a herring. I want to try that out. I've got an underspin, swim jig, wacky worm, you know, your standard spotted bass stuff, your drop shot, your shaky head, your jig head, your the Nishine smelt head. That's what I was catching them on when I was down there a few weeks ago pre-practicing. Just Texas rig, Ned rig, all kinds of stuff. You know, multi-jointed swim bait, glide bait. I got 24 rods rigged up that are going to be in the rod locker, and I'll be, you know, sifting through those in practice, pulling different stuff out, putting stuff back in, trying different stuff out as I run around the lake. But I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a breakdown. You know, I know this is a pretty broad spectrum breakdown, but I wanted to give you a little bit of an insight into my scatterbrain thinking. I got a lot of different things dinging around. As you could tell the way when I was talking, it was like one thing comes up and it triggers something else, and it triggers me to think of this, and then I think of this, and so I'm just going all different directions, trying to kind of figure out what it is that I want to look at, where I'm going to start, where I'm going to, you know, end up in my practice. And I think the key is to just kind of that's how I practice. You know, I might go out there a little scatterbrained and a little bit all over the place, but then as the day goes on, it narrows me down into one direction, and then I'll typically try to like completely get out of that direction and try something else. And then come the next day of practice, I go a completely different direction, try something completely different. You know, it all depends on the fishery though too. I mean, if it seems like every fish is doing one particular thing, then I'm going to expand on it as much as I can and try to just find as much water that I can duplicate those things on. If it's a pattern like that, I'm going to find as many areas I can run that type of pattern. If it seems like it's a spot type of thing, like, hey, they're on this spot, this particular point, or this particular hump, or this particular pocket, the way the creek flows in, it's unique. This is the one that's holding them. You know, I'm going to definitely, you know, expand on that area a little bit, see how far out it goes. But then I'm going to, you know, try a bunch of different stuff and try to find more areas that are maybe not necessarily like that, but other areas that are holding fish. So it just depends, but we're going to go out there with an open mind and try a whole bunch of different things. And I'm not really keying in on spotted bass or largemouth, just going to kind of, like I said, keep an open mind. If we end up finding a largemouth pattern, so be it. If we end up finding a spotted bass pattern, so be it. We're just going to go out there, have fun, target these fish the way that they are set up, a bunch of different techniques. I'd like to catch them, you know, moving if I can, but I'll catch them any way that they want to bite. So we're just going to go out there, have fun. I wanted to share with you guys just a little bit of a breakdown, a little bit of my scatterbrain thinking. You know, I've got, I don't know how many boxes of tackle that are going in the boat. A heck of a lot more than were in the boat down on Okeechobee, I can tell you that. And we're just going to go have fun, go search around and see if we can put together the winning pattern. I mean, I would want nothing more than to do really well on Smith, just because it is kind of like my home lake, I guess, in the series or in the circuit this year, just because it is the closest one that we've got to the house here. You know, I just wrapped up on Guntersville for that Toyota series, as you guys watched, and did really well in that tournament. And that was near and dear to me. I wanted to do well there because that was a home lake for me. And it was so impactful to do well there, and I'd love to nothing more than to do well down at Smith as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed my thinking and my thought process and the way that I'm breaking things down mentally, or at least just kind of strategizing mentally for this tournament. Maybe it'll help you, maybe not. Either way, I appreciate you guys watching this video. And if you'd like to see more content like this is kind of how I'm going to do more videos this season. I think people are really responding well to these videos. And I like that because I love to just sit down and talk to you guys and explain to you how I think. It's a whole mental strategy to this game. I mean, as you guys know, if you've fished before, which I'm assuming everybody watching this has, you know, a lot of the sport comes down to your mental, you know, capacity on the water and the way that you break down the lake and the way that you mentally stay in it and confident. And it's such a huge player in this sport, is staying in it and mental and just kind of breaking things down. And that's kind of another reason why I fish with a bunch of different people. You know, I fish with Mikey, I fish with, you know, just a bunch of different people. My buddy Dustin, you know, Chris Flint, you know, a whole bunch of different guys I enjoy getting out with, just to get these different perspectives and different thinkings. And so I'm just trying to share my perspectives and my thinkings with you guys. But if you enjoy this, subscribe to the channel, please, guys. If you haven't already, like this video. My last few videos of doing this got a bunch of likes. I really appreciate it. But like this video, subscribe to the channel, and please follow along the season for more content. And thank you so much for supporting me doing what I love to do and being able to follow my dream. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great one. Enjoy this warming weather we're getting, at least down here in Alabama we are. I hope wherever you're located, the weather's starting to warm back up. I know it's been a super cold, long winter, so enjoy the spring bite and get out there and catch some bass, guys. Get out there and, you know, bend the rod, tighten that line, and catch a big bass for me. So signing out. Have a good one. Catch you next time on Jacob Wall Fishing.